and weight. Through a combination of coaching, diet, and medication, Total Men's Primary Care helps you lose the most weight while ensuring you stay healthy and help your body develop long-term results. Taking care of your health has never been easier. Go to TotalMens.com and click on the big yellow button to book an appointment. Total Men's Primary Care, the doctor's office just for men.
You want to give your baby everything, so start with a safe sleep area. Babies younger than 1 should always be placed to sleep on their backs on a firm and flat surface like a safety-approved crib. And keep blankets, pillows, and other soft or loose items out of the crib when the baby is in it. Learn more about safe sleep for babies at safetoSleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
Take us with you anywhere. Listen live at hornfm.com or download the Horn app. The Horn, 104.9 and AM 1260.
I want to remind those of you listening in the greater Austin area, after our broadcast, as we get ready to wrap up here, if you want to hear continuing Longhorn coverage, be sure to tune into our flagship stations on the Austin Radio Network, the Horn 104.9, 101.9 and AM 1260, as well as on Coke 98.5, 99.3 FM for the postgame call-in show. Chad Hastings and Cameron Parker will take your calls. You can also listen on the Horn mobile app. So Longhorns get ready now. Now it's off to Lubbock for afternoon game. And Sark said it in that last thing, and you could kind of tell it. No serious injuries coming out of this game tonight, and that's good to see. Now it's just more mending going on.
Yeah, and getting ready to do something they haven't done. That's go on the road against a Tech team that lost at NC State and had some turnover issues, nearly 300 yards passing, and they'll be all lathered up out there. But, yeah, and see if Texas can get a little healthier. Deshaun Jameson was limited on his snaps. He had a couple of big plays when he was in there as well.
Yeah, and we'll be on the air next Saturday afternoon from Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock. 1:30 airtime, and it is a 2:30 kickoff from the South Plains, Texas, to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Again, the Red Raiders lost tonight at 16th-ranked North Carolina State 27-14. So both teams will enter next Saturday afternoon's contest with records of 2 wins and 1 loss. Thanks to everyone who helped bring you our broadcast tonight from here in Austin, including our engineer Greg Klingensmith, our spotter Andy Way, our statistician Alex Lorenz, our production assistant Steve Leach. In our Learfield studios, our thanks go to our studio anchor Mike Coulter, our senior producer Aaron Brunk. Also, thanks to Snoop Daniel for his production assistance for this broadcast. And our broadcast operations manager is Terry Kelly. Now, for Roger Wallace and Will Matthews, this is Craig Way. Once again, the final score, the Texas Longhorns 41, the UTSA Roadrunners 20. Until next time, good night from Austin.
Longhorn football has been brought to you by Bud Light. It's for the fans. Cadence Bank, helping opportunity take shape. By Living Spaces, offering a huge selection of home furnishings and free shipping. And by St. David's, an official healthcare provider of Texas Athletics. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Longhorn Radio Network.
Welcome to the Texas Postgame Show on the Austin Radio Network. To give your thoughts on the game, call 512-447-3776. You can also text the show at 337-3776 on the Specs text line. And now, alongside Cameron Parker, here's Chad Hastings.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and night crawlers of all ages, it's another late night edition of the Texas Longhorn Postgame Show. Always easier to digest after a win, and sometimes as a fan, deep down you probably just want to say, okay, just tell me. Just go ahead and tell me. Just tell me. No, don't tell me. Let me watch the game. No, just tell me. 21-point win. Okay, all right. That's kind of the game that we saw, because by the end of it, It was a 21-point win, but there's a lot that happened from kickoff to the end. We will dig through a lot of it, and you can obviously jump in. We got Ryan ready to fire it up. He's looks like to be the first caller tonight. Your call-in line, remember, 512-447-3776. If you want to send us something on the Specs text line, that is 337-3776. Also, I am told by younger, hipper people that we are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Cross your fingers. I'm Chad Hastings. Cameron Parker is here. Thanks to our man Corey for making sure we are running at full power. Cameron, you are a Longhorn fan, so you were sweating through a little bit of this one, down 17-7 at one point, but you got yourself a 21-point victory in the end. Give me your initial thoughts.
Ooh, boy, man, the second quarter, Chad, my stomach got a little tight. The UTSA fans, the DKR got a little bit louder, but yeah, overall, I think a good win, and I think Jalen Ford said it best in the postgame show with Craig Wade and Roger Wallace, Chad, and he said that this happened last year on the sideline. This team would have been button heads after that onside kick and that touchdown on the trick play, but instead this team came together, and Sark's been preaching about this culture we've heard all season long, right? Well, the culture has changed, but you don't really know about the culture until adversity hits, and it hit in the form of Jeff Traylor and a greatly coached UTSA team, and Texas came out. They were the better team the second half and got the victory, and it's all that matters, right?
Yeah, in the end, again, they play four full quarters, and by the end of it, it was 3 full touchdowns. So the Longhorns win it 41-20. We'll give you some of our thoughts. You can process some of your thoughts in a late night edition, and it is Ryan that will start us off tonight. Ryan, you are on the postgame show. What's up, brother?
What's up, Chad? Hey, at the end of the day, we'll take every win we can get. I don't know the last time we won by 21, and I felt like we escaped, which is a weird feeling. But a lot to be good. I think Cameron said it best. Is a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't think we win this game. And if we do, it's darn closer than it was now. But a few areas of concerns of. Man, we're so close to getting to the quarterback, and that guy played so great. But it seemed like there was maybe some more missed tackles than we saw the first couple of weeks. And the lines, both lines, man, for 2.5 quarters really got pushed around. Like you could see the penetration of them really dominating the lines, and I thought coming in that was going to be the point of strength, but. Anyway, a good tough win. They had to get it, and they got it, and they coming off an emotional game last week. But certainly some things to work on and go back and look at. But again, I think it's the culture piece that pulled this game out. And I'll hang up and listen.
Ryan, thanks for the call. Have a good night, man. We appreciate you starting us off. Cameron, one of the things I did not think we would see in this game, we all predicted we would see a tough, hard-nosed, UTSA team. We thought they would throw the ball around. I didn't expect a 20, 21, 22, 55-play drive. What was that drive that they put together?
22 plays in 8 minutes and 27 seconds off the clock, Chad.
If that's to speak to what Ryan's saying there, that one as a Texas fan, that one would have hacked me off.
I swear, does this happen in other fan bases where the other team's quarterback turns into the greatest quarterback of all time, like Heisman Trophy? I mean, Frank Harris looked incredible. Frank Harris looked like what I thought Bryce Young looked like last week, Chad. I mean, how many different times did he extend a play? I wrote down 4 different third downs where he should have been sacked and instead either extended the play, making a great throw on the run, or able to get the first down with his legs.
Yeah, he has it is far from a beautiful release.
Yeah.
It's a very workmanlike throwing motion that he's got. There was a guy, in fact, when Larry Fitzgerald was at Pitt, one of his quarterbacks, I think his last name was Rutherford, and he had one of the ugliest left-handed deliveries I've ever seen in my life. This dude's is uglier. Frank Harris's looks even more awkward than that, but he just gets it done. And, yeah, he makes big plays. That big old tight end, crazy H-back dude.
What a big dude. Cardenas?
I mean, I didn't know there was somebody that could rock a single digit and make Jatavian Sanders seem slim. But he did it tonight. They were impressive. They hung in there. The sequencing that you talked about with that drive, plus the onside, plus having the play ready to go, because Traylor knew it. As soon as he got that field position, that's the one they had dialed up. They get that play, but Texas is still able to come out of it. So I would agree with Ryan. There are some line of scrimmage things that you don't love coming out of that game. And it's just kind of football reality, Cameron. Coming out of the game against Alabama, all the good just can't stay that good. And you're gonna regress a little bit on certain things. And then tonight, it had a little bit of a feel of, oh, Lord, here we go. But they grabbed a hold of it. And I was really impressed in a way. Think about it this way. From 17-7, and I know all the points count, but from 17-7, you do that math, they go on a 34-3 stretch. So at 17-7, if I tell you as a Texas fan, they're going to kick one more field goal, take a breath, go get a drink, go get your favorite beverage, calm down. They're going to kick one more field goal the rest of the night. And then your team is about to score 34. So at one point during this week, I thought, and my prediction on the game, I thought it was going to be like a 28-21 dogfight. At one point, it looked like I was going to be right. Texas then stretched it out further than that. But I also asked myself this week, can Texas win an old school SEC game like 31-3, an old school SEC beatdown? And they went 34-3 for a hunk of this game. So I think that is very encouraging. Because once the wave of adrenaline was gone for UTSA, I thought the Longhorns controlled things.
Yeah, you want to get to a point in the program where you can win either way. You can win pretty and you can win ugly. This was definitely a game that they won ugly, but they won and great teams cover, right, Chad? Texas, by the way, now 3-0 against the spread. So if you've been betting on the Longhorns this year, they've been putting some money in your pocket. But you mentioned that drive after the onside kick, right? Gutsy call, incredible call by Jeff Traylor. I mean, as a Texas fan, but as like a Texan, it's so hard for me to hate against UTSA and Jeff Traylor. I mean, there's a reason why Tom Herman wanted him back on his staff, and there's a reason why he said no, because he's built up an incredible program. What a great team, and he basically coached an entire perfect first half. Outside of the one false start where UTSA had to kick a field goal in that first drive, that could have been 7-0, Chad, easily. Yeah, there was the other thing with this game, there were little moments where UTSA did not grab a hold of their opportunities. Yeah. Was it a 3rd and 4 when they jumped and gave Texas a first down? That was a huge moment because the Longhorns didn't have a lot of momentum at that point. It helped start the momentum. And then I think we can all remember a certain 4th down play where a receiver is wide open. They ran the perfect play. They called the perfect play. He was going to go for at least a first down, and he just dropped the thing. Yep. So little things where they didn't get it done. By the way, welcome to Sunday, night crawlers. As we pass midnight, let's get you a little station identification. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. The Longhorns won a game. This is the postgame show. It's really, really late, and this is the Austin Radio Network.
KTXX-FM, HD1 and HD3 PK, KTAE-AM Elgin, K270CO Round Rock, KOKE-FM, Thorndale, Austin, K253-AM Sunset Valley.
That's a lot of letters. We hope you are having a good start to your Sunday. Remember, Cowboys and Bengals, 3:25 on that kick, 2:30 pregame. We'll see if Cooper Rush can outduel Joe Burrow. And I must be a pro because I said that without laughing. By the way, shout out to our man Chris Bennett, who always reminds us it's never late for him. He's not a night crawler anymore. He's out in Washington State, so it's a little early. He said past Texas teams lose that game. And I completely agree with him. Cameron, you said it. Ryan kind of echoed those sentiments as our first caller, and that is the vibe that they've been giving off these last couple years at least. But we know last year's team would have gotten shaky. It would have gone, and it felt for a while like, oh my, because what they did last year and at their worst and the last few years is that complimentary football thing just completely got thrown away. They would do anti-complimentary football. They would have the defense screw up, followed by the special team screwing up, followed by the offense screwing up, and it would just keep going. This, that the ball started to roll down the hill a little bit, and they got it stopped. I thought was it a 10 or 11 play drive to make it 17-14? I thought that was one of the biggest moments of the game.
The drive after
once it was 17-7. And the energy was there, and Longhorn fans around that stadium were eye-rolling and murmuring and rabble, 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 and oh, my God, what are we watching? And that offense got it under control and went right down the field.
And I go back to what Jalen Ford said today after the game right here on the postgame show, that last season, if this was happening on the sidelines, we would have been butting our heads and losing composure. Mm-hmm. And Steve Sarkisian said in his postgame press conference that no one blinked an eye. And I believe him because you come after that, it's 17-7. I mean, there was a gasp in the stadium. Like everyone, Chad, after the touchdown, I didn't say anything. I was just like,
you couldn't breathe. I know.
But Texas came out and credit the Hudson Card, 11-play, 67-yard drive. Bijan Robinson capped it off. He had 3 touchdowns tonight. We'll get to Bijan's performance, but that really tells you about where the culture is at in this program, where Texas didn't buckle, and that's a spot last year. I remember Kansas. Remember Kansas came out and punched Texas in the mouth, and it just seemed like Texas looked around the sideline going, "What's going on? We're losing to the Jayhawks?"
Yeah. Well, the other thing to remember is how many points did the Jayhawks score in that game?
Like 700.
57 is the answer to that question. Tonight they gave up 20. You can win a lot of football games giving up 20 points. You can slip in games. If you give up 20 points, you can adjust to the slipping. That's what the Longhorns did. In a game you'd consider, unbalanced at times, uneven at times, and not great at times, they still scored 41 and won by 3 touchdowns. This text says, great game by the Horns. Defense and offense, a little shaky at times, but they got the win. Happy for that. And hook 'em. If you want to send us a text, if you're up late and maybe you've been drinking a little bit, the Specs text line, maybe you got your drinks at Specs. Specs text line is 337-3776. Remember, if you want to get a call in, that is 447-3776. Sometimes the good indicator for you Longhorn fans that just listen out there is number of calls. Because if they lose a game, as you can imagine, the calls flood in, people flip out, and they go crazy. We've had one caller, and we're staring at the calls right now. We certainly invite you to call, but usually it gives you a little indicator of kind of how the fans are dealing with things. We got one rolling in right now that we will get to. You mentioned Bijan Robinson's performance tonight. Am I crazy on those 2 touchdowns, or did it look like he wasn't quite going full out? Am I nuts?
It's funny you say that because we got a comment on our Twitch page. Again, the Horn ATX. You can watch us live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. ATX Sack said, did Bijan even look like he was running full sprint? And just like you said, Chad, no, I didn't.
It felt like he was idling in
Slow
third or
motion.
fourth gear. I was like, hey, 5, there's somebody right. Oh, never mind, you're at the end zone. My bad. Okay. It just felt like he was in cruise control there.
The 73-yard touchdown run, I thought, like, they're going to catch him, and they didn't. But it felt like he was just kind of on 50%. You know how you play in Madden, right? You have sprint mode in regular mode, right? No? Okay. Well, for those who understand it, it felt like Bijan forgot to press RT on his Xbox controller. And that's
I
why
see.
He wasn't.
There's a button that gives you the burst.
Turbo button. He didn't have the turbo on, and he still scored 3 touchdowns, 202 total yards for Bijan Robinson. And a big stat for me, Chad, was in that second quarter, you're down by 10 points. UTSA had limited Bijan to just 2 yards per carry. You know what he finished with on the night? 9.2.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's much better. 9.2, much better than 2. Before we grab a couple calls, Corey, why don't we let him hear let's go with the short Bijan touchdown run. So the first one, that nice little cut, the handoff from Roschon Johnson. I like that, by the way. 2 hands to 5. That's got to be tough for a defense to deal with. Nice little option attack. Here's the way Craig called it.
Shotgun snap card. Hands it off. Right side. Robinson to the goal line. Touchdown, Texas. Bijan Robinson takes it in for the score.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the super short one. My bad. I'm sorry. Of the 2 longer ones, the long one that was 78, we'll save that one. What was the mid-range one? 30,
33, 38.
33. Do we have that one? The little bit longer. I'm sorry. He did exactly what I told him. He played the short touchdown. I forgot about that touchdown. So
he's had 2 big touchdowns tonight. When you get to 3, it's hard to keep track of them all.
Let's get the Rojo handoff to him. Let's hear what that one sounded like.
First down, handoff Robinson again. Speaking of giddy up, here he goes. Bijan, giddy up into the end zone, touchdown. 41 yards for Bijan Robinson to take it home.
What a call.
Man, I'm glad I asked for that. Is that a double giddy up? I don't know if I've ever heard Craig do a double giddy up.
Little Kramer?
Come on, Craig. Double giddy up. That's fantastic. All right, so Bijan ends up, as Cameron said, with a 9.2-yard average, 20 for 183 and 3 touchdowns. So the great news, if you are an old-school football fan, and obviously the running game is in the Longhorns' DNA with those two Heisman winners and 2 statue guys, 8.3 a carry. The concern, Cameron, is that it was 161 yards passing. 15 to 23, 161. How much concern do you have for that moving forward if it's got to be Hudson Card and that passing game?
Well, first off, like Hudson Card, I've heard great things about him as a human being, as a person, but we are here to judge his ability to play football. And Chad, I just don't trust his ability to make the right decision on some throws, right? There was a play in that first half when Texas had to settle for a field goal, but he had Jatavian Sanders wide open. I think it was just a seam route, middle of the end zone, and he was in the end zone waving his hands, and literally everyone at DKR saw it except for Hudson Card, and I believe ended up making a throw out to the boundary to Casey Kane. But it's just plays like that. He's a safe quarterback. He's not going to lose you the game, but the type of plays that he just doesn't make, which concerns me if Quinn Ewers isn't ready to come back. And we got to talk about Quinn Ewers throwing the ball in pregame warmups.
Yeah,
so
that's interesting.
All in all, though, I think Hudson Card did a great job tonight. I mean, he had a gutsy effort last week against Alabama, and he did enough to win the game. 15 for 23, only 161 passing yards and a touchdown. So he does enough for Texas to hold on, but if you're going to ask him to do more, I just don't know if he can do that.
All right, we've rolled past midnight, and we got callers ready to roll. 447-3776. It is the Longhorn postgame show. They are 2-1, 41-20 was the final score. Is it Brad we're going to hit next? Let's go, Brad. Brad, you're on the postgame show. What's up?
Hey, guys. Good evening. Hey, I was just going to kind of took the words out of my mouth there. Hudson does enough to win the game, manage the game. I thought that was nice and safe. Wasn't nothing spectacular, but, it sure did look a whole lot better than what things could have looked at the end of last week. Number two, at the end of third quarter, whenever Demo goes out, that's just a huge call there on the targeting. I'm sitting there, I was in disbelief. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Duck his head? Then he leads with the crown of his helmet. You got a 5'8" guy and probably somebody that's 6'2" going after him. I think that's got to be looked at and overturned. But more importantly, Texas goes in at the half and makes some changes. And I mean, how much can you attribute that to Gary Patterson potentially and what he's been able to do and bring to the team, and just a whole different mindset? I'm not too sure the same Texas team last year has the ability to go in and make those changes at the half. I'll hang up and listen. And thank you guys for what you do, and hook 'em.
Hey, thank you, Brad. Thanks, Brad. The adjustment thing has been like a ghost that hangs over this, has hung over this team at times.
Wait,
the last
adjustments?
few years.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Chad?
exactly. And you can go back into the Mac Brown era sometimes, and it would happen. Fans get so frustrated when coaches talk about adjustments midweek. They want it mid-game. They want it mid-quarter. And sometimes Texas has not had that. But it did feel like there were adjustments made. I would think I don't know if you give it all to Gary Patterson, but I mean, Gary's a part of that group now. And it's seems to be more than just a basic analyst kind of role. But I think the adjustment overall, I heard some of the guys as I'm driving in the postgame talk about apparently – Keandre Coburn was one of the guys that called the defense together and said, hey, this is not us. Let's go. Let's calm down. So there was some leadership. There was some player leadership, Cameron. And as a Longhorn fan, you got to like hearing about that. There were guys that didn't flip out. There were guys that, you said it, that didn't fight. For people that don't know, today/tonight, when Kansas went to Houston players fought on the sideline. Literally, one of them attacked the other on the sideline because they weren't tied together, and Kansas beat them and is 3-0, ladies and gentlemen. Kansas is 3-0, and we're not talking about basketball. But the Longhorns stayed together. They didn't flip out, and they were able to make those adjustments. So that was big. And then we haven't talked about it. Jeffrey, we'll get to you. Let me just mention it. We haven't talked about the targeting thing. But Cameron, it was, and there were multiple games. Somebody texted me, hey, Chad, your Aggies held off the U. They did do that tonight. At least one, I think maybe two Aggies got thrown out for targeting, and one of those I can get the call. But the DeMarvion Overshown one, as soon as I see the hit on replay, I know they're going to stop the clock. I know they're going to stop the game to go look at the thing. And I looked at it, and I agreed with Overshown. He's on the sideline putting his hand to his face like John Cena. It was like, no, it's my face. I saw him. It was my face mask. What do you want me to do? And the caller just said it. Brad just said it. What do we want him to do, Cameron? Duck his head? Because then he really is targeting.
In the words of Stephen A. Smith, blasphemous. It's a blasphemous call. Like, what else can Overshown do? And the referees, explained it to Sarkisian saying that he was a defensive player. What? He didn't. It wasn't he didn't throw the ball away, right? It was a sack. So how can he be defenseless if he's making a play on the ball? Exactly. I think this opens up a larger discussion, Chad, that targeting is the stupidest penalty in college football.
Well, I'll certainly go.
Is it changing the game at all? Is it protecting the players more? No. Overshone's out for the first half of the next game against Texas Tech, and Sark said after the game he's going to try and appeal it, and good luck appealing to the Big 12 referees because who knows what they do during the week. It's not look at calls because all their calls are awful. But how is that helping the game?
No, I would argue it is not, and for years, since they've come up with this new way of dealing with it, I've talked about the frustrating part. They've made it more and more frustrating. These plays now where you can say, I thought it was a football play. No, wait. Let's go back. We think it might be targeting. You think it might be targeting now. And so instead of taking 2 looks at it, you're only taking 1, and then you're still demonizing the defensive player and throwing him out of the game. That's what we've decided to do is we want to make these guys, there's nothing an offensive player faces that is like that. But the defensive players we turn into absolute villains in those moments, and I don't understand why I don't understand why it has to be that way. And then the other thing is that scares them. Just because 2 helmets make contact doesn't make it targeting, and it doesn't make it helmet-to-helmet contact. Look at where the contact point is, look at where the force of it happens, and be reasonable with what you're looking at. These guys are going full speed, blink of an eye, and they're that talented at what they do. And I thought DeMarvion Overshown did every single thing he could have done other than put a pillow between his face and the other guys. That's the only thing. If he had taken like a My Pillow or a body pillow or a Tempur-Pedic pillow out there and put it on his face mask, that's about the only thing he could have done.
There's a viral picture on Twitter going around of a UT student searching on Google, what is targeting during the game? And it's a good thing because I think back to the Alabama game, Chad, about the no call and the safety where, that kind of changed the game a little bit in terms of Alabama holding on the win. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for Texas, the targeting penalty didn't come back to bite the horns because it was an 11-point game and UTSA ended up turning the ball over on downs anyway. But if they go down there and score, it's back to a 4-point game.
All right, so let's go back to the phones here. 447-3776. It is Jeff or Jeffrey or maybe both. Jeff, you're on the postgame show. What's up, brother?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought it was funny what you said about Bijan turning it on because I said the exact same thing to my brother as we were watching the game. I'm like, boy, he doesn't look like he's really turning it on or he's just running hard enough just to stay in front of him. So I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, because it wasn't a leg injury, right? He was dealing with an upper body thing.
I know.
Right? That was weird. Yeah, sorry, man. Go ahead.
Cameron, I thought, and I think that Stark's playbook is really limited with Card as your quarterback. I think we saw that and a lot of the stuff that we saw, that the quick passes that you have to get out fast, he's very slow at delivering the ball, which turned into very short gains when you get it out to the receiver to the outside. When yours is known for his quick release and to get it out fast, and that's what you have to do in some of those plays. So, we didn't attack downfield, and when we did, his passes were a little off. So I'm concerned going forward, as we face Big 12 teams coming up, that that's going to be a bit of concern. But my main reason for the call tonight was the Overshown ejection. I've been watching targeting calls here the first several weeks, and really during a lot of the games that I watched, there were so many targeting calls that the flag was thrown on the field. They would go and it would be overturned and taken off.
Yep.
I mean, I literally saw 10 times that happened within the first couple of weeks of the season. And I said to myself, I know that there's going to be a time where we're going to get screwed on something like this. And here we are tonight, and it happened. And it doesn't get called on the field, and it gets, comes down from the booth. I mean, we are playing the game of football here. I don't know what Overshown is supposed to do. He doesn't lower his head. His face mask is what led with. That's the way you're supposed to tackle. Harris was basically curling up because he knew the contact was coming. And so he put his head in the position to take contact. That's not Overshown's fault.
Right.
So
Yeah.
not targeting.
Yeah.
The word targeting means you are attempting to try and use, that part of your body to make contact with them. And obviously it was not. So I hope the Big 12 looks at it and realizes it wasn't even called on the field by one of the lead officials. It was looked at from the booth, and they overreacted, and hopefully, the call was made, but the suspension, we don't have to worry about that next week.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jeff. For the sake of football righteousness, I hope you are right. We have heard about that. I've yet to experience that. This is our first season with that, where the conference has to file a grievance or whatever, and they go back and look at it. But that will be the second time somebody looks at it. That's what frustrates me about those type, Cameron. It's the play happened, a football play happened, and nobody threw a flag. No one did. And then Johnny remote control in the booth says, wait, hold on. I think there might have been targeting. We're going to look. And he looks once. But the rule says you look twice in other situations. So I don't understand. Because in the beginning, it is I throw the flag and I say, hey, man, that's targeting. And then they go look. So two different sets of eyes looked at it. In this case, the first set of eyes, in fact, all sets of eyes on the field said, no, we're good. We're clean. And it's that one extra set that jumps in. So I feel bad for Overshone. Hopefully he will get to play, because the first 2 quarters in Lubbock kind of matter.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. So hopefully that will not hurt the situation. And by the way, in watching that A&M Miami game, I think it's one A&M player, and it's an important one. It's one of their best safeties that won't play the first 2 quarters of the Arkansas game for the exact same reason. His was a little more to the definition of targeting. I didn't love the call, because I still think the contact point was shoulder to shoulder. It's just that the helmets happened to contact. But he did duck the head a little bit, so I guess I can see it. But it is a rough call. So thank you for the call, Jeff. A lot of folks obviously reacting to that. By the way, let me see if I can perform a service here. This says, it's my friend's birthday. Can you shout out Kyle and say happy birthday? Hook 'em. Kyle, you crazy son of a gun. Happy birthday. Your friends... Yeah, it's one friend. You have one friend who cares enough to tell you happy birthday through the radio at 12:20 a.m. Happy birthday to Kyle. I don't know if that's today or yesterday, but happy birthday to you, Kyle. All right, 447-3776 is that number. And we do have calls now coming in. See, I told them they weren't calling, and then they start calling. It's one of those natural things that happens. Let's grab one more call, then we'll hit a break, and you can load them up again, because Nathan's been hanging a while. So let's get Nathan here before the break. Nathan, you are on the Postgame Show. What's up?
What's up, brother? Hey,
man.
Love listening to you guys. Hey, just wondering, how do you guys feel about, one, how awesome UTSA's quarterback is, and is there another quarterback in the Big 12 that we're actually going to face that has that ability? I mean, his way of evading sacks and getting that last second, millisecond pass out to hit, it was really great to see. I felt bad that he wasn't in the game at the end there, but he honestly played a really awesome game. So just wondering, I haven't paid attention enough to the rest of the teams. If you guys know if another team's going to have a QB like that, because he was pretty awesome. Anyway, I'll just hang up and listen.
Nathan, it's an interesting question. I know Oklahoma's got one that throws with his left hand. Off the top of my head, I know that's similar. But in terms of that exact quarterback, Cameron, I don't know if that lives in the Big 12 anywhere.
No, that's a great point made by Nathan. I was thinking of it during the game too. It was like, well, the good thing is that Texas won't have to face a quarterback like Frank Harris again. I think maybe Dylan Gabriel, but I think Frank Harris is a little bit more shiftier, a little bit bigger.
Let's say he's bigger than Dylan, right?
But I mean, also Texas does this thing where they turn opposing quarterbacks into Heisman candidates, like Max Duggan. Max Duggan is the same quarterback he was 7 years ago as a true freshman quarterback, but when he plays Texas, he turns into Joe Montana or Steve Young, but I don't think we're going to face a quarterback like Frank Harris again. And honestly, Chad, I was kind of more surprised or more impressed by Frank Harris through 3 quarters than I was Bryce Young. Now, of course, Bryce Young basically won the Alabama game for Alabama, but man, Frank Harris, he had 7.
Impressive.
He'd been sacked 7 times the entire season through 2 games. You know how many times he was sacked tonight?
None.
None.
I know there were some hurries and some pressures.
Zero.
And
the one sack was called targeting.
I was going to say, that one doesn't even technically count, right? Frank Harris went 24 of 35 for 222 and did throw the pick. And the good news for Texas is he did not throw a touchdown. Thankfully, they got that call right, where there wasn't a touchdown in the back right corner of the end zone. Nice, couple nice moments of bend, don't break for the Texas defense, and that was the first one. Thought that was a big drive, too. Hold them to only 3 and not let 7 happen there. That was big. Frank Harris also had 10 carries in the game for only 38 yards, but it was how and when those carries happened that were pretty big to get first downs. All right, so we've got, let's see, we got Keith. We see you there. Keith, is it Delia? Karen? I see somebody just called wireless caller. Hang on. Everybody hang in. We will get to you. We'll hit a little break here. We're going to probably roll. Don't worry. We're going to roll till probably 1:15 or so in the morning. We're going full Nightcrawler edition. If you're up, drinking, or doing whatever you're doing, please try not to swear. But other than that, jump on in. Let's Talk Texas winning 41-20. They play at Texas Tech next week. We'll get you the particulars on that coming up. You are listening to the Postgame Show, and this is the Austin Radio Network.
Since 1977, Factory Mattress has been a locally owned family business, giving customers a great night's sleep at an unbeatable price. With decades of experience, a lower price guarantee on all the top brands, including Tempur-Pedic, and the advanced science of our Right Fit technology, Factory Mattress treats Texans right. Come experience the difference shopping local can make at Factory Mattress. Premium brands, lowest prices. Sleep on it.
My Factory Mattress.
Longhorns football is in full swing, and Specs is here to get you geared up for game day. Shop lower prices on all your favorites and expand your lineup with a huge selection of world-class wines, spirits, beers, and gourmet foods. Whether you're stocking up for a tantalizing tailgate or a worthy watch party, Specs has the goods to make game day great. When it comes to savings, nobody helps you bring home the win like Specs. The fun starts here.
People are driving from all over to take advantage of Diamonds Direct's incredible finance offer. For a limited time, you can make any purchase and spread your payments over 5 years with zero interest. Imagine that $4,000 pair of diamond stud earrings for just $68 a month. That $10,000 designer ring for just $168 a month. With this offer, you don't have to compromise. But hurry, this is a limited time offer. 5 years, zero interest. Start your forever with Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Get details at diamondsdirect.com and approved credit.
The Texas Postgame Show on the Austin Radio Network. To give your thoughts on the game, call 512-447-3776. You can also text the show at 337-3776 on the Specs text line.
The Longhorns go to 2-1 on the year. That's what you needed when you looked at that schedule, right, Longhorn fans? Now, you would have loved 3-0, but 2-1, the losses to Bama. And if I told you the loss was going to be that kind of a hard-fought game and you only give up 20, you might take that. 2-1, the record. You score 41 in this game and win it 41-20. Before we get back to the callers, let's go to the big point in the game. It's a 3-point game. Longhorn fans are gripping, and then one play made things a little bit easier.
Has the snap, blitz coming, sends it out too high, picked! There goes Jahdae Barron. Say goodnight to it. Pick six, 41 yards for the Texas touchdown.
Just felt like all they needed at that point was a little comfort. Needed a second score, needed a 2-score lead. Eventually, it ends up being a full 3-touchdown win for Texas. Nice job by Barron there. That was a look what I've got pick six. It was overthrown. It's not like, and he admitted it in the postgame. He didn't really do anything. He was just in the right place at the right time. But he finished it. He got the catch. He took it in. That was big. Not just a turnover, but the pick six, and it made it an 11-point game. That was massive. All right, Chad Hastings, Cameron Parker, our man Corey is here taking your calls, getting you all lined up. So I believe Keith is still there. Keith, thank you for hanging on. 447-3776 is that number if you want to jump in behind Keith and the rest. Keith, you're on the postgame show. What's up?
Hey, guys. Real quick, Craig, if you're listening, I got your phone. I'm at 620 and 2222 in front of 7-Eleven. And then I wanted to ask about the play where the UTSA receiver went out of the back of the end zone and came back in, and obviously the ball hit the ground, but I didn't think that was a legal catch. Can you help me with that? Because on a later play, they had a guy go out of the sideline and come back in, and they called it a no catch.
Thanks for the call, Keith. Keith, when you say Craig, you don't mean Craig Way's phone, do you?
No, I mean Craig Stickler.
Craig, okay, yeah, different Craig. Woof, I thought
different Craig.
Whoa, okay, just checking. Thank you for the call there. All right, I was about to say, did somebody end up with Craig? Did Craig throw his phone on the pick six? Craig frisbeed it out of the press box. All right, so Keith's asking about that ruling, and I thought I had this right, and then I heard the announcers talk about it. Sam Acho, I think, backed me up there. And let's face it, if an Acho brother's backing you up, I think it means you're right.
Yeah.
But the NFL and the college rule are different in that.
Of course they are.
The NFL rule is whether you are forced out or you run out, you're done. It's over. You can't come back in and catch and be the first person to touch the ball. In college, you are allowed to come back in and reestablish yourself if you were forced out. If you run out on your own, they notice that, you are not allowed to come back and do that. So, Keith, that's the clarification there. Technically, that's a touchdown if he's able to catch the ball because the Texas player contacted him and kind of helped him go out of bounds. Maybe pushed is not the right word, but
guided him
out of bounds, forced him out of bounds. He reestablishes in bounds with 2 feet, and then he catches, and it would have been like a knee down if he caught the ball. Thankfully, somebody buzzed down to get that call. I could not believe they were about to call that a touchdown. I was so glad they stopped that. Anyway, so that's the rule on that, Keith, and it is a little different in college. All right, where are we going now? We're going to, is it Ron next?
Going to Ron.
All right, Ron, you are up next on the postgame show. What's up?
Hey, man, I got a solution for you on the targeting.
Okay, hit me.
They need to adopt the NBA version of a flagrant 1 and flagrant 2.
No.
If you just have helmet-to-helmet contact and it's not egregious, you don't necessarily eject the player or keep him out the next week. I don't agree necessarily that it was targeting of any kind. I like you guys. I think it was a pretty good old-fashioned football tackle. But I'll meet you halfway. I'm not sure it was face mask, and I'm not sure it was crown. I think it was like forehead. He kind of ducked a little bit, but he should not have been ejected. And the other thing is wow, UTSA really surprised me. I mean, those guys were competitive. I had heard about them. But I think if that, the pick six that you just played was the difference in the game. They get UT off the field. They get the ball back down 4. It's a totally different game if they go down and drive and score. And so I think that was a huge play. But targeting's got to be revisited somehow in football. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ron. Cameron, I know you love the NBA, and I dig it as well. Not as much as I used to, but I do dig it. We can't be going flagrant 1, flagrant 2 on targeting. Next, if somebody calls and says yellow card, red card, I may jump out this window. We can't go to that level. My question to you, Ron, and to any fan and to anybody in those offices is, why do you have to be throwing defensive players out of the game? Why?
Exactly.
I mean, I've got things in my mind that a college football player can do that would get him thrown out of a football game. It is 10 times what DeMarvion Overshone did tonight. The fact that we're throwing these guys out for physical football plays is crazy to me. If you want to install something where 2 or 3 of those type of calls get you thrown out, whatever. If you want to throw 15-yard penalties forever, I don't care. If you want to penalize him 15 there because you just thought it was too rough, that's one thing. I just hate that we're throwing them out. I hate that we're demonizing the players and we're affecting the rest of games. We're ripping, Clemson, and I'm thinking of the Clemson guy that in that game, Georgia guys in playoff games, in like semifinals, in championship games, conference games that are getting affected because of this. That's what I hate about it.
How do we land on a player being suspended for the first half of the next game. Like, how do the referees and the officials decide that? Because now the referees that review the play, now they're just doing their job and they're going off the rule book. So, like, I'm frustrated with them as much as possible, but also they're just going off what the rules say. And that's what the referee explained to Sark. So we're just going off what the rules say.
I know, yeah.
And the rule doesn't make a lick of sense.
No, it's goofy. And again, you are stating that there's something inherently evil in a defensive player that exists that doesn't exist on the offensive side. You're turning them into monsters for no reason.
It's one-sided.
It's a very one-sided discussion. I don't know why that has to happen. I get the protection element needs to be there. We don't need body slams. We don't need people getting slammed into the ground. If you want to call the slammed into the ground stuff, go keep doing it. Fine. I saw a couple of those plays tonight in the Miami A&M game. By the way, just if you want to watch two clunky, uneven, nobody should really be afraid of either one of them football teams, go rewatch Miami and A&M.
I think I'll pass.
Holy mackerel. Final score was 17-9. It was twice that ugly. Man, that thing was ugly. But Miami had moments where just when you thought maybe they were going to get something together and get it going, the dudes were suplexing people out on the field where even I was saying, yeah, you probably got to throw a flag on that one. You can't do that. But don't throw him out of the ball game. That's what I don't understand about the targeting part. It can't really be that bad. Like, I'm sorry. We can't. We cannot go to that level. Make it a double 15. Come up with a 30-yard penalty if you need to. Just stop throwing defensive players out of the game randomly in a first quarter. That's all I'm saying.
I love how you snuck in like 3 Aggie references now halfway through this postgame show.
Dude, I'm sorry. It's the only other game I was watching, and it did have targeting fouls. I'm terribly sorry. I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. I shouldn't have mentioned it. All right. So we do still have folks lined up. We have somebody said the explanation is as clear as mud. Yes. Somebody else says, listening to y'all on a bright and sunny Sunday morning in Tel Aviv, Israel.
Okay.
How are you? Keep up the great work. We appreciate those of you that do take the apps with you around the world. Remember, The Horn Austin in your app store or Coke FM in your app store. Shout out to those of you listening on Coke FM or the Coke app all across the Austin radio network, and we appreciate you checking us out in Tel Aviv. All right, is Steven still there? Is that who we're going to?
We got Steven.
Let's give it a shot. Steven, you're on the postgame show. What's up?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All righty. I just want to call in, talk about that targeting call. I was at the game, and I was just there, and, that call was kind of a bunch of, BS. I think he kind of led with his face mask, and it just kind of, made me pretty mad, and I feel like they should have even reviewed it. There was no flag on the field, and it was just kind of crazy, for them to do that. And I think, especially ejecting, they shouldn't eject them. I don't think they should have done that. And it's just bunch of nonsense to me, I think. And then I just had a question for you. Do y'all think Texas is back? Are we a team that we think we are? Are we gonna go somewhere special this year?
Telling you. Thank you for the call, Steven.
That special as in like Boca Raton? Or
that B word is going to follow y'all for a while. Why is it just Texas, by the way? Is there anybody else living in that world? Let's stop and think about it for a second.
Florida State, maybe?
Florida State. Does Nebraska live in that world?
Miami, maybe?
Miami, right. If Miami had gone to College Station, sorry to reference it again, if Miami had gone to College Station and won by 5 touchdowns today, would somebody have done that? Hey, the U might be back.
But I think when your star quarterback gets up there and says it after a big bowl win, that might kind of contribute to it hanging around for a while.
First, it was over-the-top announcer guy. It was Johnny Tess.
Joe Tess.
Dude, when Joe Tess does that, when the Tesser goes that crazy, and then you got Sam. By the way, I forgot to tell you guys, I took a picture of it. I didn't end up using it or tweeting it out, but on my way back to the car before the Bama game last week, I saw someone had shoe-polished Texas football is back on their car.
Why?
I don't know, but it's kind of become part of this discussion. My answer to that, Stephen, would be the Longhorns have shown us they're a different team than last year, and I think we're just going to have to wait and see what else it is. I mean, Cam, are you really having those discussions with your Longhorn fan friends every week? Are y'all taking the "Are we back" temperature every week now? Is that what you're doing?
No. I think to say Texas is back, that means we're back competing for the national championship, right? So until Texas wins a playoff game, then I won't even use the B word.
Okay, that's fair. I would say until they are ranked with a single number.
But then Texas was ranked the Georgia Sugar Bowl year, remember? And then they began the year single ranked, and they were not back. Just ask LSU.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
It depends on what you define being back is in. Like,
I could feel the President Clinton sentence coming. Depends on what your definition of is. That's still one of the best ever. All right, do we have we had a John, I think, and then maybe did John hang up?
John, hang up. We got Cross on the line.
Hang up. Cross. All right, let's talk to Cross. Cross, you are on the postgame show. What's up?
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing tonight?
Good, man.
It was very good to see this team, how they readjusted at halftime, and that interception turned that whole game around because that's when we got the offense finally on their heels, though. But credit to Harris of UTSA's game tonight against us, though. But it's just very good how this team coped with adversity under this new staff, though. I'm loving the progress that we're seeing right now. And heading into conference play, though, is another big test for next week, though. So I'm very happy we got the W tonight. And you fellas have a nice night.
Thank you, man. You as well. By the way, that team they're about to play is, of course, Texas Tech. Texas Tech got beat at NC State today, in case y'all missed it, 27-14. But heading out to Lubbock is always different. It's always crazy. First matchup with McGuire's version of Texas Tech. And I do think, Cameron, Texas dodged a bullet with a 2:30 kick. It has been announced it's going to be on Big ESPN. 10:30 is our pregame time, 2:30 kick. Not to have a night game in Lubbock is big. It'll be dark by the end of it, or getting dark, I guess, by the end of it. But to not have a night game, that's huge.
Yeah, and still no word if Tyler Shuck, their starting quarterback, will come back. It's been Donovan Smith playing, and I think he played a little bit in the game last year in that 35 blowout victory for Texas. Yeah, 70-35. And Smith, he likes to throw the ball around, and a couple turnovers today. I think he had a couple interceptions too. So Texas is a lot better if Tyler Shuck can stay healthy, and if he comes back, I think it was like a 2-3 week injury when he went out in that opener against Murray State. So that's a big key for me, Chad, and like you mentioned, just not the 7 o'clock start.
Yeah, and the other thing we're going to get to see is we've watched Texas experience some ups and downs this season, and they almost fought back and figured out how to beat the number one team. They at least fought enough to make the number one team the number two team. And then tonight we watched them get themselves into some trouble. They fought out of it. But we haven't obviously seen them do it in a road environment. And there's no truer road environment for the Texas Longhorns than Lubbock, Texas. So it'll be a nice test. What happens when it goes wrong there? What happens when it goes wrong at Jones? Do they still call it Jones AT&T Stadium, or did somebody else buy the rights? I don't even know. But that place, even though it's about 50,000 or whatever.
Still Jones AT&T. Can't confirm.
It's a nut house. They're crazy. And Texas fans, I don't have to tell you how much they hate y'all. I mean, they hate y'all. So if it starts to go wrong, it can avalanche on you out there. We'll see if the Longhorns can adjust. All right, it is the postgame show. 41-20. The Longhorns get the win. You're listening to the Austin Radio Network here on Horn FM, Coke FM. Thanks to everybody who's been a part of it today. Our Bevo Boulevard crew. It was a hot one out there today, man. Cameron was a part of that crew. Thanks to Corey, who's been here pretty much all day dealing with it. Our man Ty, our crew down at Bevo Boulevard, Christina and Jacob, of course, Aaron and Harge, Eric Rains. Shout out to our man Rod Babers, who had to go to one of those god-awful football season weddings.
What's going on with that?
His brother-in-law, I believe it is, so he has no choice. This is his wife's brother. What's he going to say? No, you can't do that. So Rod was forced into it. I feel bad for the man. He wanted to be around, I'm sure, to talk about this game because I know he was excited about it. But there you go. I hope everything went well at the wedding, and he had to go somewhere up in her family's neck of the woods, which is like Montana or Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the second wedding we've had from the Horn family in the last 3 weeks that are taken away from the football game. Derek Cohen, congratulations to Derek and his lovely wife, but getting married the weekend before Bama?
I don't get it. Now there's like 4 reasons. I used to say birth, death, or military service. Now I'll throw in COVID, but aren't we past that point? Like, what are we doing? I don't understand. I told somebody the other day in the office, if Beyonce and I were ever dating, and she said, I've always wanted to get married in September. I would say to her, well, you're not marrying me in September. What are you talking about? Here's your window. This is the window. The window is here to here. Come on. You can be the queen bee, but we have to do it in May or June. Come on.
I think we got to also mention, Chad, real quick, that apparently a fan also tried to get in the Bevo's pin today at the game and mount Bevo.
This is insane.
If you're out there, hopefully you're in a jail cell, but why? Just Chad, can you help me explain how much alcohol does it take? How many trips to Specs does it take for you to go make you go into Bevo's pen and try and mount Bevo?
And just like the UGA situation, I'm just amazed nobody was hurt.
Yep.
Because Bevo had every right to do whatever Bevo wanted to do at that point. That is completely out of what he's expecting, and there's no way to determine what he's going to do there. I'm glad the dude didn't get – it was a man, right?
Has not been confirmed.
Okay. I'm glad this person didn't get gored.
Yep.
I'm glad this person didn't get an arm broken, leg broken, stabbed, whatever, by a horn, get kicked. Dude, if Bevo kicks you square in the chest, you're going to feel it for 3 months. So, at minimum. So I'm glad that they're all right. But I can't believe that happened. How did they get there? Y'all have seen where that enclosure is. It's what? How do you get there without somebody realizing it? How do you literally get to Bevo and you're starting to climb on top of him before they realize it?
So according to Anwar Richardson, that apparently someone jumped on the field and then tried to get into the pen, but he was halfway over the fence when a police officer pulled him away.
Oh, so he didn't get to Bevo.
The first report was that he actually got to Mount Bevo before they ripped him off. But the second report is that it was about halfway before. So, but still, what's your plan going into the pen?
There's no way there was a plan.
No plan. Yeah, exactly.
The plan was the voices in their head were instructing them from the mothership. That's what was happening. Trust me, you don't want to know what was going on in the head of that individual. So that means in the last 2 home games, it was the first home game where we had Quinn Ewers got towed, right? We've had starting quarterback got towed, and now crazed fan tries to attack Bevo. We've had that 2 out of the first 3 home games. Oh, my goodness. All right, and the Longhorns are 2-1. So there you go. It is 447-3776 if you want to jump in on the phone line. The Specs text line is 337-3776. Somebody says, sounds like a commercial for insurance with Mayhem as the best man. Yes, exactly. I'm with him in that commercial.
Perfect.
I don't understand that one at all. Okay, so let's see. We'll grab another caller. Let's get another one in there. Where do we want to go here, Corey?
We got Joshua here.
All right, let's try Joshua. Joshua, you're on the postgame show. What's up?
Hey, guys. Just 2 quick notes.
Yeah.
First one was about the halfback pass play. I feel like I can always sense when they're going to use it against us. It seems like going back to Mac Brown era, for some reason, we always have trouble with that. And I felt when we had Gary Patterson on our sideline, I feel like he's the architect of when to use that against Texas. And we were actually had it okay covered, but then didn't make the play when we had 2 guys in position in the end zone. And just a weird note about that. I don't know why that's always a weird rock in our boot. But the other one is with the targeting play, I don't know why they can't just make – first of all, I agree with you. It's too drastic of a measure, just remove them from the game. And second of all, it seems so easy for the offensive player to just bring their helmet down and sort of bait them into getting that call. And so, like you said, like every time it's helmet to helmet, it shouldn't just be a simple targeting call. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Joshua. That is an interesting comment, and yes, and I don't know, Cameron, that an offensive player ever does it on purpose, but there's so much human nature and natural body movement that can get those helmets to come together. I really wish I could take everybody right now back in time with me to when I was like 8, and I just started watching football. The idea of somebody doing something in a college or NFL game, high school, anything, to get them thrown out, it was crazy. I remember having these discussions with my father. Hey, Daddy, what does somebody have to do to get thrown out of a football game? Well, son, they have to, certainly throwing a punch was the first thing out of his mouth, right? Well, you got to throw a punch. Oh, a punch? What are you talking about? Why would you punch someone that's wearing a helmet? A whole nother question. Oh, they have to get in a fight. There's got to be a fight on the field for that. And nowadays, when you say, what does a guy have to do to be thrown out? It's not a lot in football terms. So, Joshua, I completely agree with you. Cameron, as far as the halfback pass thing, I do think, the Longhorns were susceptible to it at that moment. I don't know if they're any more susceptible than sort of other teams, but I'm not sure if Gary Patterson or anybody could have stopped the momentum at that moment because I thought Traylor set it up perfectly.
Yeah, I thought he called an excellent game. The big game plan from the get-go was, the 8-minute drive was just try and keep the Texas defense on the field as possible, dink and dunk, and, we hear, take what the defense will give you, and that's what they did. Coming out of the game, Texas played a lot of either press, they did not press, a lot about 10 yards, it felt like, between the wideouts and the DBs, and then a lot of zone coverage too. So Texas finally adjusted in the second half, but on those plays, obviously Frank Harris didn't really trust throwing the deep ball too much. He had one deep ball to his wideout that if he had actually let him, it would have been a touchdown. I think it was Ryan Watson coverage, and that could have been really bad. Texas avoided disaster there, but besides that, that's just how the UTSA offense kind of works, and I thought Texas defensively did a pretty good job once they adjusted and got out of that deep coverage.
By the way, a kind of a shout out to the Texas defense I wasn't thinking I was going to give because at the early part of the game I felt like Texas was kind of getting pushed around. That obviously that 20-play drive made me feel that way. I look at the stats at that point and it was 3.7 a carry for UTSA, and I thought, okay, well that's not that much. By the end of the game it's only 3.2. Mm-hmm. They really did a good job of containing. They Texas, as we mentioned, rushes for 8.3. You hold the other team to 3.2. So by the end of it, Texas was able to contain things and not really let it get out of whack. Now, real quick back to his Gary Patterson comment. I'm fascinated by this Gary Patterson thing for about 9 different reasons. One of them is, as an analyst, is there something Gary Patterson is or isn't allowed to do on game day? Because I've seen him on the sidelines talking and doing stuff, and I thought, well, wait a second, he's not a coach. Isn't there something in place that says he's not allowed? Like, he couldn't go up to the press box and put the headset on and talk to somebody on the field, can he?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm not sure if he can as an analyst. So when I saw him on the sideline, I wondered, what's he allowed to do and not do there? So what I'm saying to you, Joshua, is if Gary Patterson saw it, I think technically he might have to tell someone who tells someone. I don't know if Gary Patterson can directly tell the defense, hey, go watch out for that, like while the sequence is happening. I'm not sure if he's allowed to do that, but a lot of the Texas feel there was on your heels. I think everybody was on their heels. I think Kwiatkowski was, Gary Patterson was, Sark was. They were reeling at that point, and UTSA just got them.
Yeah, they played a perfect first half, Chad. I think for 3 quarters, they didn't make a big mistake. They had a couple penalties that I think Jeff Traylor wants to get back, and shout out the Texas crowd for that. 102,000 in attendance. We talked about.
Is that what they announced? 102?
How
Bravo.
Texas fans respond after last week's game, bringing the energy, and it wasn't as loud as Alabama. And I think Sarkisian actually mentioned that the players and the fans' energy needs to get up a little bit more. But outside of he had the false start, the 1-yard line that probably prevented UTSA from scoring a touchdown. But until Frank Harris's interception, I thought UTSA played a damn good game, and that's Harris's only second interception, second turnover of the season. In the previous one was a tip pass off a receiver who probably should have caught it. So Traylor, UTSA, I don't want to see them again. Respectfully, great team. Hope they win a lot of football games, but I do not want to make the trip either down the Alamo Dome or have them come back here because that's an upset waiting to happen.
All right, let's grab. Is it Chris up next? Oh no, I'm sorry, no, Hunter. You want to go Hunter? Let's do it. Hunter, you're on the postgame show. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I just wanted to talk about our special teams.
Okay.
We got that punt block in the first game for a touchdown, and then we go and play Alabama, and we missed that field goal right before halftime. And then in this game, we got kickoff out of bounds, without Dicker the kicker. How are we going to handle things on special teams? This is a 3-dimensional team. We got the defense, the offense, the special teams, and it does not seem like the special teams is going to come through the way that we need them to.
Interesting call, Hunter. And obviously, giving up the onside kick, that's a special teams issue as well. Did they give up a block punt for a touchdown in game 1? Is that right?
We blocked a punt.
Oh, you're talking about okay, all right.
Yeah,
cool.
Keelan Robinson,
all right.
DJ.
Thank you, Hunter, for clarification. I thought he was saying Texas gave that up. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think I remember that. Yeah, you're right. No, there have been some positives and negatives on the special teams side. Cameron, I would agree with him there. You got to watch out for obviously the onside kicks. Auburn, the good and the bad against Alabama. If you're going to rip him for that shank at the end of the half, you have got to give him the credit for 49 yards to take the lead. That was a massive moment. So I think Texas has had both. I think there's been big moments of good, but there also have been a couple big moments of bad.
Yeah, I still think Will Anderson blocked that kick, Chad. But overall, I think Bert Auburn's had a great season so far. I mean, he hit a 44-yarder today. He seems to have been nails. Mm-hmm. The issue on the kickoffs is just Will Stone. He's a true freshman. It's his third game playing college football. He has a leg. I mean, he had 2, I believe, touchbacks tonight. Bert Auburn came in for 1 kickoff. He had a big touchback. So it's just trying to figure out. Maybe it's just, dealing with the nerves for Will Stone because he has the leg. I mean, he's nailed 50-yarders at Regents High School throughout his high school career, so it's just, I think, mostly nerves for him. But special teams, I said last week or 2 weeks ago that I was worried it was going to end up costing Texas a game against Alabama, and you could argue that, the blocked field goal possibly did that, but also Bert Auburn came back and hit a 48-yarder to give Texas a lead. So I feel a lot better about special teams than I did 2 weeks ago.
All right, real quick before we hit another break and hit the top of the hour here, is this Chris coming up? Yes. Chris, you're on the postgame show. What's up?
Yeah, on the, talking about that targeting call again,
mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, at what point does that rule get changed or who has to bring that up on someone or something to, just change the attitude or the look? Or just anything on that targeting thing that could just change the way the game is played with the refs and how they view it. Who has to bring that up?
That's a good question, Chris. I think the answer is the coaches on some level. There's got to be it's not like the NFL where there's a certain competition committee and there's certain coaches on the committee, but I think they have groups maybe that do get into those discussions. The thing that scares me though about it, Cameron, is they like this deep down. Deep down, I think the coaches like it because if Saban and Dabo and all those guys really hated it, I think they would have worked it on its way out. It makes them look like they care about the players. I think that's what's important about it because it gives you the notion that it's all about safety and they're trying to protect and all that. So unfortunately, Chris, I hope you are talking about something that could happen. I feel like it's gone too far, and I don't know if we can get back. I really don't. Now that they're kicking this many guys out, I don't know if it's going the other way. I wish it would, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, no, they're going to be putting player safety first the rest of time, Chad. It's obvious the way the league has been shifted from NFL and Goodell denying CT to now trying to do everything possible. I mean, the most important person on the field is the quarterback, and you can tell by the way referees call the game, right? The same thing with the targeting on DeMarvion Overshown, not targeting. You see it 10 times on Sunday in the NFL where you're just you're numb to it, right? You say, oh yeah, you just got hit, perfect hit 5 years ago, just a 15-yard loss, flag. You just get numb to it.
I saw something in that Chiefs-Chargers game I've never seen in my life. I hope I never see it again. They came up with a flag for an offensive player blocking a defensive player into the quarterback, and they called it on the offensive guy. We've got a flag for what? For holding, but it's qualified. The reason he ran into the quarterback's feet is that the offensive guy threw him there. Oh, okay. If you want to call holding, but you want to protect a quarterback to that degree that you feel like I need to know all that information, that's when I know they've gone too far.
Hopefully Texas can get to a point where we don't worry about the referees, right? Do you think Alabama ever watches the game and is worried about the referees screwing them over? Because it feels like multiple times over the past 5-10 years, and this is sound like a Homer Texas fan here, but just last week to Alabama and the safety call. It's just how can you go back and review the targeting call tonight, Chad, but you can't go back and review the safety?
Right.
How does that make any sense?
Yeah. Right. If you can see it clearly on a replay, that's what replay should be for. You got to be able to get it right. All right. It is the postgame show. Longhorns win it 41-20. They are 2-1 on the season. If you want to sneak in a call, we'll go till about 1:15 or so, wrapping this one up for you. Texas getting ready for the conference season and Texas Tech. The number is 447-3776. We have certainly gone over that targeting call a couple times with DeMarvion Overshone. Let's hope something can be done with the Big 12 Conference, and maybe Brett Yormark can call someone and figure it out and see if he can play against Texas Tech. Remember that Specs text line, if you want to sneak something in, is 337-3776. Also, we'll replay that big, long Bijan run for you because I'm sure Craig's call was pretty good on that one. I bet that one got to say goodnight to this one when he took off. We will get you that. It is the post-game show right here on the Austin Radio Network.
Football is back. Score big right now at Round Rock Honda, Round Rock Toyota, Round Rock Hyundai, and Round Rock Genesis. We have a nice selection of new and used vehicles that will look amazing as you pull into a stadium parking lot. That's Round Rock Auto Group with great dealerships like Round Rock Hyundai, Exit 254, I-35, and RoundRockHyundai.com.
KTXX-FM, HD1 and HD3 VK, KTAE-AM Elgin, K270CO Round Rock, KOKE-FM, Thorndale, Austin, K253-AM Sunset Valley.
Hey, it's Aaron Hogan for QC Kinetics. Summer's all but over, but for too many of you, that joint pain is still there. Well, it's time to do something about it. I want you to call our friends at QC Kinetics. You've put it off too long. Now is the time for you or that loved one in your life to get real, lasting relief from chronic pain. Whether it's in your knees, your back, your shoulder, or your hips, QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments. There's no drugs, there's no downtime, no surgery. Regenerative medicine uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body to restore and repair the damaged joint tissue. QC Kinetics is the leader in this exciting breakthrough natural approach to eliminating joint pain. So many people here in Central Texas have done it, and they're once again living their lives to the fullest and living pain-free. Stop assuming the old ways of dealing with joint pain are the only ways. Simply call QC Kinetics today. For that loved one in your life, call for them. Stop putting it off. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Simple phone number 512-593-4303. That's 512-593-4303. QC Kinetics has a location in Austin and in Round Rock. 512-593-4303.
The Texas Postgame Show on the Austin Radio Network. To give your thoughts on the game, call 512-447-3776. You can also text the show at 337-3776 on the Specs text line.
Longhorns win it 41-20. Chad Hastings, Cameron Parker, back on the postgame show. Corey Guidry, making sure we're running smooth, taking your calls. If you want to sneak another one in, 447-3776. While you're loading up the phones, if you like, we'll hit a little scoreboard. Shout out to one of our great partners, the Pluckers scoreboard. Get out to Pluckers if you haven't lately. Little top 25 for you. Obviously, Texas was just in that top 25 at 21. They win 41-20. A&M did get by Miami 17-9 in a rock fight in College Station. A lot of other ranked teams win real big. USC won 45-17. Utah won 35-7. In most of these cases, I'm not even going to mention the opponent because they won by so much. Who cares? 48-7 Georgia. Bama 63-7. Ohio State won 77-21. 59-0 Michigan. 48-20 Clemson. 49-14 Oklahoma. Yeah, I'm not even going to mention that other team. 63-7 Oklahoma State. Kentucky won 31-0. Arkansas's was actually closer. Missouri State, I'll give you a little love and say your name. You led in Fayetteville. And then Arkansas got a big kick return, and they won it 38-27. Washington beat Michigan State 39-28. Oregon over BYU. How about that one? 41-20. A lot of folks picking BYU to win that. Oh, no. The Ducks took it to BYU today. Tennessee won 63-6. NC State did get by Tech 27-14. Baylor big over Texas State 42-7. It was close early, but not late. Florida got scared to death by the South Florida Bulls, but they came all the way back and won 31-28. Wake Forest over Liberty 37-36. Didn't watch a second of that one. And boy, am I glad about it.
You're gonna TiVo it
No.
tonight?
I am not. Ole Miss 42-0. Look out. Rebels going crazy and running the ball all over the place. They had a running back. Oh, looky there. Remember the name Zach Evans?
Got in a fight with one of his coaches today, I believe, on the sideline.
Well, of course he did. He's Zach Evans. But he also had 18 carries for 134 and 2 touchdowns.
Oh, man.
Welcome to the good and the bad of Zach Evans, kids. That's what he does. Penn State, story of the day probably, other than all the blowouts, Cameron, it's what Penn State did to Auburn. 41-12. Oh, my God. Singleton had 10 carries for 124 and 2 touchdowns. The last time somebody beat Auburn like that, the last time a ranked Power 5 team went in and beat them like that, I think it was like the early 80s. I mean, they smashed Auburn today.
One, did you see Sean Clifford get destroyed? And two, is Brian Harsin going to be the first coach fired from a Power 5? Oh, never mind. Okay, outside. So second coach fired because Scott Frost, RIP.
This is Scott Frost. Yeah, I saw the
number 2.
I did see the Clifford moment. Here's what I'm waiting on. In a couple weeks, I believe, is Auburn LSU. It's one of my favorite games every year, but now it features the 2 worst cultural fits I have ever seen in college football. Brian Harsin at Auburn and Brian Kelly at LSU. A, are they both still the head coach when they meet? B, will the loser survive to like the next Wednesday?
They got Missouri. Oh, I don't know. Eli Drinkwitz, former Appalachian State head coach. That might be one to watch out for, Chad.
If the right person wakes up on the wrong side of Alabama tomorrow, Harsin could be done by noon. I don't know. I still can't believe he survived this long. That is a wild story to follow. Pittsburgh, I'm terribly sorry to say it that way. The NFL doesn't start till tomorrow. Pitt beat Western Michigan 34-13. And in the Big 12, we should probably give them some love because they are 3-0. The Kansas Jayhawks beat Houston and their fighting players 48-30. Tulane beat K-State. That's not good for the Big 12. 17-10. Iowa State big 43-10. 65-7 for West Virginia. Please start scheduling people. Baylor won, as I mentioned, the NC State game, Oklahoma State, everything else I mentioned in the Big 12. So there you go. The Pluckers scoreboard. Lots and lots and lots of heavy chalk. That moment for Penn State was huge. By the way, another little indictment on the world of college football and scheduling. Today was the first time, if I heard this correctly, I believe I did. Today was the very first time that a Big Ten team has ever played at Auburn in non-conference. Let that simmer for a second. Ever? Ever. Like ever. Ever? Ever? Oh, okay. Okay. So, for all of you that love to preach about the most important regular season in team sports, shut up. Just stop. Stop. If a Big Ten team has never, ever, ever gone to Auburn in non-conference, we got to start realizing what these schedules are and what they're not. That's pathetic. That is pathetic that that's never happened till today.
It's crazy because even like recently, until this Alabama home and home, like even Texas hadn't taken any really big trips outside the Big 12 to play Power 5 schools, right? Now Georgia and Florida, who of course now they're going to be conference opponents, so interested to see who Texas fills that in. But now we're kind of in this age where with TV money and contracts, right now we're seeing bigger teams play each other, which is good for the sport, but just a wild stat, Chad.
Yeah, it's got to happen more. We got to start doing more of these games. It's fun to see, and it's a great statement for a team like Penn State to make. We got to have more of that going on. We need to have some good standardizing of schedules as we move forward. But hey, we're maybe heading towards a 12-team playoff, and then maybe they'll expand things out a little bit. Texas gets the win, 41-20. We've hit all the big moments. Let's hear that long touchdown from Bijan Robinson, shall we? This is his longest as a Longhorn, by the way. I think Craig ends up calling it at 77. They gave him an extra yard when they looked at it on the stats.
Why not?
It's a 78-yard tote, and here is how the voice of the Longhorns called it.
Roshan Johnson ready to take the snap. Has it, turns, hands to Robinson again. Bijan breaks free. 30, 35, 40. He's got one man to beat. The midfield to the 40, to the 30. Say goodnight to this one. Bijan Robinson takes it 77 yards for the touchdown.
Just smooth as he could be, man. I said it, and we had multiple listeners say they thought it too. It almost appeared like it wasn't top speed. He did enough to get there. It felt like he was almost, kind of keeping things in reserve. Big 12 plays coming up next week. Hopefully Bijan is good. That's the other piece of good news in this game, Cameron. 4 guys with the injury question coming in, and you got 3 yeses. You got Hudson Card playing and starting. Never came out of the game and played the whole game. You got Bijan playing. You got Deshaun Jameson playing and making plays. And then you brought it up earlier. Quinn Ewers suits up. That's big. But then not just suits up for his teammates, suits up and actually kind of went through some warm-up stuff and threw footballs today. Is that real?
Sark's been very quiet about Ewers' injury. He said on Thursday that each quarterback had progressed through the week, whatever that means. But he's progressed enough to the point where he's going to be throwing. And remember, the report after the game was Pete Thamel was saying he was out 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks, I don't know about that. If he's throwing it, I don't know if he's going to be ready for Texas Tech or what Sark wants to do. I think it depends on how much he trusts Hudson Card to win that game out in Lubbock, but definitely a huge positive sign to see Ewers throwing.
Yeah, that's a big, big deal. By the way, we had a texter mentioning that Texas was going to go to LSU and went to USC in 2017. Let me be very clear about something. If there's one team in college football that I do not rip about non-conference scheduling, it is Texas. Texas ain't afraid to schedule those type of games. I get on the SEC all the time, and I have been for years, and that Auburn stat is pathetic. Texas is not the problem. They're a long way from the problem. They are the one. Remember those years where Tom Herman would tell everybody, we're playing a Power 5 every single game. Nobody else is doing that. And he was right. But it was one of those where, in a way, the way they structure it, you probably should schedule some easier teams than he was doing. But I love that they're doing it. I love that Texas schedules those kind of games. We need more. We need some of them to be forced on these teams. I think that would be awesome. Somebody texted in, Cougar High, a house divided. Wish that happens next week at Tech. Yeah, I bet you do. 2 Houston players literally brawling on the sideline during the game. That happened in the second quarter, too, by the way. Long way from over. Kansas had not beaten them by that point. Now, it was, I think, 28-14 Kansas at that point. So maybe they were just freaked out that Kansas was beating them. But, yeah, they were fighting on the sideline, and Dana Holgorsen has problems to deal with.
Yeah, he may have lost the program. And remember, week 1, Houston beat UTSA in 3 overtimes.
That's true. Yeah, this UTSA team, man, they're going to be hard to kill throughout the year.
Oh, yeah.
Tough team to get rid of, but the fact that the Longhorns just beat them by 3 touchdowns, that is huge. I said this week I'd stay away from it if I was a bettor. It was like 12.5, and I just felt like the Longhorns were going to come back from that Alabama thing. I thought a lot of fans were overcooking what they saw. Obviously, there was some good there, but to expect elite performance every single week from a team that is learning to be whatever it's going to be, I thought that was a little unfair, especially with the quarterback injury. And to that end, Cameron, in the early part of the game, tell me if you think I'm crazy here. I felt like, as the adjustments happened, I felt like Sark was caught between what he would have called if it was Ewers and what he called since it was Card. I felt like there were plays where it was like, man, I got to let him throw what I want him to throw. And then there were times where it felt like he was backing off and going, no, man, I got to let him throw something he's comfortable throwing. Did you sense that as well?
Yeah, I think so. He started off that first drive. He called 2 shot plays for Card to Worthy. And the first one wasn't a great throw. The second one was one that I thought Worthy could get to. And Joseph Cook, our friend over at Inside Texas, had a great point, was like, did Worthy kind of give up on that ball? And I think you could argue he did. But after that 3-and-out, Chad, he started throwing more just flare balls, right? Little quick outs to the flat to Bijan,
which
Johnson.
He does well.
And kind of like that Sam Ehlinger offense we would see, those kind of like receiver, the bubble screens out to the boundary, right? That type of offense. And I think that's what makes Hudson Card comfortable, right? Don't make him go through a bunch of progressions and a bunch of reads. Just throw to the outside. You can't do that with Hudson Card. You can't run the same offense you run for Quinn Ewers that you can with Hudson Card. And I think it's pretty obvious.
By the way, I am not his agent. I am not his friend. I am a conscientious observer. But as someone who appreciates Xavier Worthy's talent, can we please throw him a football that he can catch while standing? Why are we throwing passes, making that dude do circus rolls, barrel rolls onto the field? And then we got announcers acting like he should have caught the one tonight. Wait, what?
The diving one?
Look, Lowell and Sam.
They're all diving, I think, to be
Lowell
honest.
and Sam, I love you. You can't don't tell me he should come up with that. And it wasn't just them. The broadcasters, 2 games ago, with that one in the end zone. You're making him lay out in the end zone, and you're telling me, well, he's got to come up with that. He touched it. You know what they say? If you touch it, you go, no, stop, man. You got to throw him a better football than that. Somebody throw the X-Man a pass he can catch and stay on his feet. Please. Please.
I think Worthy's ready for Ewers to come back. 4 catches, 46 yards. How about Jordan Whittington? I think it's time for bed, Chad. Jay Witt, 56 yards, 4 receptions. A good night for him. And
I dig him, man.
Let's give some love real quick to the defense. Jalen Ford, remember when he had 0 tackles in week 1, Chad?
I do.
15 tonight.
Ooh, wow.
The Marvin Overshone had 10. Ford and Overshone combined for 25 tackles, and unfortunately the latter is going to be out for the first half unless Texas is able to win that appeal. But, man, Jalen Ford has really stepped up for this Texas defense.
He really has. That's a great number. I had not seen that he had 15 tackles. The linebackers was something I was worried about going into the season for Texas. They'd been attacked a lot in the last couple of years, but they've really stepped up. The gang tackling was there when they needed it. And, again, the adjustment from down 17-7, hanging that 34-3 on UTSA for the rest of the game, it was massive. And you ended up with a comfortable victory in a game where there were heavy nerves at one point. You're tied at the half, but you come out of, and if you want to look at it, you look at it that way too. You're at 17 all coming out of the half. You only allowed them to score a field goal, a meaningless field goal in the end, because it was, what was it when they got to 20? No, it was 24-20. Never mind, it wasn't a meaningless field goal. It cut it to 4. But after that, you go 17-0 to end the game, and it's over. It was impressive.
I'll conclude with one last stat for you, Chad. First quarter, Texas averaged 2.7 yards on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Third quarter, they averaged 21 yards per carry.
Wow. That sounds important. 21.
Just a little bit.
21. By the way, let me be the.
And that's inflated by Bijan's 78-yard touchdown, obviously, but still.
Okay, was I I couldn't have been the only one. I know I'm the old man fan, but were you guys on that first drive just thinking to yourself, when the hell are y'all passing? Are you watching what you're doing to them in the run game? It was Bijan. That resulted in the first down off the. I'm just thinking, why don't? And then they take that shot. I think it was the very next play. I just felt like they threw themselves into a 4th and long situation. UTSA didn't do a thing to them. I'd have tried like 17 runs there.
And that was
before I throw.
Was that after the awful holding penalty on Jatavian Sanders? The same drive?
That's probably what stalled it. Maybe that's what got him to think pass. I think you're right about that. You're right.
But, I mean, looking forward to Texas Tech, and was it TCU that Texas plays after Texas Tech, or is it West Virginia?
West Virginia.
If Hudson Carr is going to be the quarterback, I think he's going to have to hit on one of those shot plays, Xavier Worthy, next week, Chad. If Texas is going to, win that game against Tech, I think they have to find a way to connect.
Yeah, on his feet. Throw him the ball.
No diving, just hit him in stride.
Catch and run. I felt so bad for him. You could tell he had taken the air out of him to do that, and he's running back to the sideline kind of slow.
He walked. He ran. He walked around the end zone.
Oh, my God.
Past Bevo.
What are y'all asking him to do, man? All right, we want to thank everybody for calling in that called in on the postgame show. The great news is there weren't a ton of calls because they won the game. They ended up winning by 3 touchdowns. But we did get some good thoughts in and a lot of thoughts on the DeMarvion Overshone thing. Keep your eyes and ears peeled on that. We will hope that the Big 12 appeals because he should be able to play in the first 2 quarters against Texas Tech. If not, Jalen Ford and the crew are going to have to hold it down until he comes back for that 3rd quarter. Again, it's a 2:30 start next Saturday in Lubbock. We will crank the pregame show up for you. Longhorn game day starts at 10:30 a.m. next Saturday. Thanks again to everybody who made it possible, all of our crew out on Bevo Boulevard. Thanks to Corey and Ty and Matthew and the gang back here, Dave, Patrick, all of our technical side. Thanks to Christina and the crew down on Bevo Boulevard, Jacob, Cameron, thanks to Harge, thanks to Aaron, thanks to Eric Rains, thanks to Rod Babers, because we know it wasn't his decision to go to a wedding in September. He's just trying to stay married. We totally understand that. Thanks to everybody who made it possible, and we will talk to you bright and early Monday morning is Bucky and Aaron to get the Longhorn discussion cranked up. Remember, the Sark press conference is Monday at 11, and for you Cowboys fans, Here we go. 2:30 pregame, 3:25 kick tomorrow. Cowboys and Bengals, Cooper Rush and Joe Burrow. God help us all. Stay safe out there. Be careful. Do not try to climb on top of Bevo. Don't park your car in a bad spot. And just go to sleep and get some rest. This is the Austin Radio Network. Longhorns win it 41-20. Have a good night. See ya.
Real Texans are genius.
Bud Light salutes you, overly dedicated Texas Longhorn fan.
How come?
You show up to every UT football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, and ball-related sport there is.
Ping pong.
Each game, you slather your entire body in burnt orange.
Every nook and cranny.
Yes, you're brewed in Texas, and so is your Bud Light. Enjoy responsibly. Texas Edition Bud Light beer cans. Anheuser-Busch, Houston, Texas.
Since 1977, Factory Mattress has been a locally owned family business, giving customers a great night's sleep at an unbeatable price. With decades of experience, a lower price guarantee on all the top brands, including Tempur-Pedic, and the advanced science of our Right Fit technology, Factory Mattress treats Texans right. Come experience the difference shopping local can make at Factory Mattress. Premium brands, lowest prices. Sleep on it.
My Factory Mattress.
Longhorns football is in full swing, and Specs is here to get you